All right, so I have started the recording. All right, now um, let's begin the session today, which is about article critique. Basically, it's like research article critique. All right, I would like to hear from you. Have you heard this before? Have you done any covered anything in your previous semester regarding this research and research article or critique, or have you heard these terms before? Any ideas? You can write in the chat box. What do you think? What? No, all right. Sabahat is saying no. It is first time. All right. Okay. Well, we can call it research article critique. All right. What does it mean, like critique, and what is the process all about? We will definitely be exploring this in today's lecture. But before that, I would like to ask you, can you tell me what is research? What do you understand by the word research? Yes, any ideas? All right, and please write anything that comes in your mind, okay? You don't have to be necessarily correct. I would love to have your input. So what do you think? What is a research? What is the meaning of the word research? Yes. Sabahat, would you like to unmute yourself and describe? Or just write a word or say a word that comes in your mind very first time, like very first when you think of a word research, what comes in your mind? No ideas? Okay, all right. Sabahat is saying that a thing or anything that we find for any purpose is called research. All right. Okay, Ayman is saying collection of data. Very nice, very true. Okay, we can say that. Great. Then what is the difference between search and research? What is the difference between search and research? Like we search a lot of information on Google. All right, if we want to know something, if we want to search something, we just go to Google, type the keywords, and then we get the information. Is it search or research? Okay, fine. So let me just explain you that search is like, you are looking for any information, anything, and that you just find it out, what it is. Search is something that is exactly the same. I mean, when you want to know about any theories, you want to know about any topic, you just go and Google it, and you will be able to find the information that is already there. When we talk about research, research is a systematic or investigative process of finding the information, and based on that, you can formulate or create new information. All right, so what happens that you are adding value to the that particular field or the discipline. All right, so basically means search again. So in the research means that you follow the systematic process, and then you investigate with the help of yes evidence. It means finding, researching evidence based information. You are right. Okay, so it is research is more of like, you can say that overarching umbrella, under which there are lots of, it has lots of components to follow. For search, you just go and write a keyword and you'll find the information. But for the research, it follows a process. All right. Now, you know that in the research is the vast field and the discipline, and over the time, the researchers in every discipline have been contributing greatly to the to provide the in-depth knowledge and understanding and the various aspects of that particular topic in the history. All right, and till now it is still continue that already done research is like a research on a particular topic was done about 10 years ago, and now you see that someone would like to further dig it deeper, that what are the current trends, what is the change that has taken place from that time period to this time period. All right, so research is the vast field. Acha, by the way, research article critique is a topic that we are doing today, is something which is not conducting the research, but analyzing the research articles. Like, just see what is an article critique. So an article critique is basically is not only a criticism. Like, normally we think that critique means to do criticism. It isn't. All right, a critique is a specific style of essay in which you identify, evaluate, and respond to an author's ideas, both positively and negatively. Remember that when I was teaching you, analytical and critical and analytical reading, so I have described, I defined the terms, the analysis. What does analysis mean? That breaking down the information and each component of that piece of information that you have, all right, and then study and investigate it separately, the each component, and then evaluate its results, findings, and everything. Okay, so it is usually applied to academic settings. Okay, so an article critique is an assignment that requires a student to critically read a research article and reflect upon it. So the key task is to identify the strong and the weak sides of pieces and assess how well the author interprets its sources. Okay, so again, what is a summary? If I ask you what is a summary, what will be your answer? How will you define? What is the difference between summarization and what is the difference between summary and article critique? Like in this slide, whatever you can read, you are able to read in this slide, what comes in your mind? How will you define this? That how is article critique different than a summary? Any ideas? Or write in the chat box, please. Any ideas? How is summary and article critique different? Will you be able to differentiate? Differentiate it? Okay, so let me tell you that summarization means that you can't put in your own opinion, and this investigation will not be carried out. You are not going to talk about the credibility of the sources, the credibility of the article and the purpose, and then how you cannot comment on the methodology and the sample sizes or anything. It's just about what the author has written. You are summarizing it. You are taking the key points from the article and just writing it in your own words to give the readers an idea what is in the article. But article critique is different than a summary in a way that you actually are analyzing and evaluating the piece of writing. Okay, and you follow a certain process for this article critique and a method. What is that? Let's go ahead. We talked about this. All right, there's one more information. So when we say this, keep one thing in your mind, that critiquing means that you are developing an understanding of more than a single article. So it means that you're going to see the big picture of the discipline, whether it is the study conducted in the field of medicine, the study conducted in the field of any disciplines of science or social sciences or humanities, whatever the discipline is. Thank you. All right, for joining. All right, so whatever the discipline is, okay. So later in your study, you may be expected to contribute. Okay. All right. So and the purpose is that when you are analyzing and when you are critiquing an article, you are setting a foundation, or you can say you are paving the way for the future studies and researches as well. All right. Okay. So new students have joined us. Let me just give them a brief overview of what we are the recording. Okay, let's go back to it. So we talked about the critical, when we talk about critiquing, article critique, it doesn't mean that you are criticizing it, but it means you are looking at the bigger picture of it. Okay, What is the purpose of a research critique? The purpose of a research critique is to determine whether the findings are usable for you or not. I mean, you see that there are, hundreds and thousands of researches have been conducted almost on every discipline. All right, so some researchers contribute greatly in, setting the entire, you can say, room, or you can say place for the future researches, and help a lot in further studies. Okay, some researchers, they may not contribute. It also is very important to consider that what is the, when the research was done. Sometimes the research is so old, so with the passage of time, what new has come, how the people, the things and the technology, and then the field of medicine and everything, how the change has occurred, because change is constant and it is happening just right after second minute. New things are coming in, the people changing attitudes, everything is changing. All right, so basically you can say that the research is also helpful to keeping the, you can say, the track of the changes that how happen over the period of time in every discipline. All right, why do a research why do a research critique, why do we do that? Because all right, don't turn on your, okay, who is this Galaxy? Please don't turn on your mic. Keep it muted. All right. Okay. Not all research, published research is scientifically sound, and result may have little support for their validity and may reflect a bias. All right. So basically, the purpose of the research, article critique is to talk about. Okay, Umi Farma. All right. So the purpose of the research critique and article critique is to, as I said, that to talk about and to investigate the credibility and the transparency of the research, done. Okay, it should be bias free. There should not be any biasness. Biasness could be of anything, like it can have the political and the cultural and any kind of you can say that bias can impact it if the researcher is inclined towards one particular culture and the one particular language in the community, or something, like it can be, the limitation of knowledge, maybe he doesn't know, so that it's not necessary that every research that is published is authentic and can be trusted. Okay, there are four aspects of critique. All right, maybe one of your MCQ is that how many aspects of the critique are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so think that way. Determining if the design and the methodology are consistent with the purpose. Definitely the first thing is to identify the purpose, that what is the purpose of the study, what is the purpose of the research. All right, and then talk about whether the methodology and the purpose, they both, is supporting the purpose or not, and determining if the methodology is properly applied. Okay, what was the research process? What was the method? We will discuss this in the later slides. I want to, because there are 45 slides, so I want to keep it short, not to make it very big. Okay, assessing it if outcomes and conclusions are believable and supported by findings means that you also have to see, okay, that if you can trust, I mean, you can say the purpose for which the study was conducted and the result and the outcomes are supporting the main objective or not. It should not be like pole apart. Reflecting on overall quality, strengths and limitations. Right. So I will tell you that what is the role of a critic when you will do this. Essential elements in the research critique process, that the necessary elements in research critique can be compiled in a series of questions for the process of critiquing research. Now, here comes a very, very important question. Let me just put my device on charge. Just a minute, please. All right, yeah, so I'm back. All right, so we were talking about that. All right, we were talking about that the questions when you are doing the article critique, so the question play an important part. What kind of questions you should have or you should formulate while you are doing an article critique. All right, let's go ahead. Okay, source and abstract questions. Let me admit. Okay, so first of all, you have to see that when you choose an article for its analysis and for the article critique, so you should know that how legitimate is the source. Example, empirical study from peer-reviewed journal versus article from popular magazine. Achha, empirical study means based on real life experiences and observations. That is empirical study, all right, and it has to have the real world connection. Then you also have to see that about abstract, what is the major theme of the research source. Basically the abstract of a paper, of a dissertation or a paper presentation in the conference of anything, the abstract is the summary of the whole study basically, all right. So if you read abstract, the reader will get to know that what is coming ahead. So your abstract has to be very concise and very clear so that the readers can have idea that what is it all about, what is coming ahead. Okay, so this is abstract, and abstract writing is a topic that you will do in upcoming semesters. So it is a whole topic that needs to be discussed. All right. So and every you can say that the paper and the thesis and the article has an abstract. Okay. So what is the major theme of the research source means what is a thesis a statement, what is the main research, what is the study about. So basically the abstract provides a snapshot of the study. I mean, snapshot means that it gives you just the main heading and the main idea that what is it all about. Next is, okay, then you see that what is the problem and the purpose. The problem and purpose questions, you have to, at the time of article critique, you have to think that what is the research problem? What problem? I mean, when you are researching, you definitely have a problem question. If you don't have a problem question, how will you research? So what is the research problem? What problem existed in the setting in terms of lack of research? A need for further research, all right. So you see that if you choose an article for the article critique, you will be viewing it, that whether how the problem was stated and how the questions were formulated for the study to investigate about the solutions or what were the findings. Okay, and then purpose, what was the purpose of the study? Is the purpose clear? Was there a clear need for the study? Will the study add to the body of literature in the field? This is very important. Like, why you want to research? Why are you studying this particular thing? What is the purpose of your research? It should be clear. If the topic and your problem is not that, you can say on point, and if it is very vague, then your whole study and the research will be will go in vain, because you have to think that is it going to contribute in the field of literature, is it going to contribute in the discipline that you are studying. Okay. And then literature review questions. Literature review is very important for you to understand. In the coming slide, I will give you an idea what literature review is. So what could be the literature review question? Is the review comprehensive? By the way, literature review is, just before I go to the next slide, I tell you that literature review is to, present the references of the researches that have been already done on the subject. I mean, it could be primary source or the secondary source. All right. So if the you are research, you are reviewing an article, or there is an article about depression, all right, or there's an article about gender-based inequality and about you can say depression in students in the United States, whatever it is. So you see that you will also required, or you might add the literature review in it to talk about it means that the previous research is already done on the topic to make it more authentic. Okay, so is the review comprehensive? That is, did the researchers include the most relevant literature regarding each study? Okay, sources current, are the sources current within the last 5 years? And or seminal within the field means that they are relevant to it. Seminal publication reviewed means, if you pick to give the reference and the literature review to use it as the reference, you see that if there is any ambiguity or something, like seen that it's highly influential and its original publication that you are mentioning, okay, are the majority sources primary or secondary? Primary source means like as you are conducting the study and you get the first hand knowledge from the respondents and whichever, and the secondary means that the literature that is already present and then you have given the references. Okay. Literature review questions could be, do the authors identify a guiding theoretical or conceptual framework? So if so, it is clearly explained and linked to the study. So your literature review and the references that you are giving, does it help you in your research? It is more relevant, it is related to the topic and the problem or not? Is it well organized and does it include an introduction and a summary? Okay, these should be your literature review questions. Now, what is literature review? So a literature review identifies, evaluates, and synthesizes the relevant literature within a particular field of research. So it illuminates it highlights how knowledge has evolved within the field, highlighting what has already been done and what is generally accepted and what is emerging, what is current. All right, and within the research-based text such as doctoral thesis, a literature review identifies a research gap as well, like unexplored and under-researched areas. Again, just to sum up this, we can say that the literature review is giving the citation and the references from the studies and the researches that have already been conducted on the same topic. So what you are going to do, you will see that what you are looking for, what is your purpose of study and how you can add any new information to it. All right. So you will be critically analyzing it, that how the researcher has presented the literature review in the article. Basically, when you are researching, you will doing that. When you are doing article critique, so you will be looking at this literature review critically, that is it recent, is it relevant, or it is old and outdated, references. What is literature? Literature refers to the collection of published information material on a particular area of research or the topic. So your literature review and the references could be from the books, from the journal articles of the academic value. All right. And what is the meaning of the word review? To review the literature means to be able to identify what has been established, discredited, or accepted in the field. I mean, so when you are, you see that when you are, presenting the literature review, or when you are, analyzing the literature review in the article, so you will see that this citation, this reference, and this literature review that is in the article, is it acceptable? What value it has? Does it have in the field of study? Okay, or is it outdated and obsolete? Now, next, go ahead. Then you have the methodology question, research questions. Like, did the author offer any research questions? All right, you will see when you are analyzing and you are doing article critique, you will see that how the research questions are constructed and formulated. Are they clearly stated? Do they match the purpose of the study? Just suppose that you are a researcher, you are going to conduct a research. So you can have the questionnaire or survey or interview, whatever the method you choose, all right, for getting the responses and collecting the data. So you have to construct the relevant questions, and this is the most important part of our research. So as a critique, you will evaluate and you will analyze that what are the questions and the researcher has constructed for the methodology and to ask from the respondents. Then hypothesis, do the researchers offer any hypothesis? If it is, then what are they? Are they clearly stated? Do they match the purpose of the study or not? More methodology questions, participants. what was the target population and the audience and the respondents? I mean, you see that when you conduct a research, so research means what? Like, definitely you go to the particular uh, population and the community and then get like, just imagine that you're going to conduct a research in one of the slum areas of Pakistan. You go to any interior part and then you see that what is there, safe drinking, pure drinking water available or not. All right. So you see that your target audience will be those living in slums. All right. And you will go to different slum areas and you will see that where is the situation more aggravated, where is the situation the worst, what is the percentage, what is the population that is unable to get the safe drinking water. Right, so you have to very very meticulously think of the respondents and the participants selected. What will be the selection criteria when you are going to get somebody fill your form? For example, as an English teacher, I'm going to conduct a research about online language methodology or something like that. Who will be my target audiences? If I have to research a general online, so I may have the questions formulated that could any science teacher or math teacher or any teacher could answer, could fill that survey or questionnaire. All right, but if I am particularly focusing on English language teaching, then definitely my target population will be only English teachers. So you also have to determine that. What will be the instrument, like what instruments or tools were used in the study, how you developed the tools, validity and reliability, what were the instruments directly measure the interest, does the researchers describe clearly how meaning, how meaning or scores are derived from the instruments. Now, the research design, more questions. What was the specific research design used? How were the data collected? Again, what was the modus operandi? What was the process? How did you reach the audience? What was the criteria and everything? And then after getting all the data, there is data analysis. That in this question, if you had 5 questions, so question number 1, then you will analyze each and every question separately, that if there were 4 options, so how many of people selected this one and what they responded, to the other options. So you will then analyze the data. So it is a huge process. And then based on that data collection and analysis, what is the result? Is each research question or hypothesis addressed? Are the findings clearly described in the research article? So when you are reading a research article, and I'll show you, by the way, a sample article, original article and article critique, I will also show you that. So in the end of the session, so stay connected. Then the discussion questions, how do these studies result fit into the broader literature? I mean, your findings and the conclusion that you have done and the researcher has done of this article, how is it going to contribute in the field of literature, in the literature in that particular field? All right, will it help the future researchers? All right, what were the limitations of the study? What were the challenges? What were the limitations? What should have been done? What was not done? Maybe you can say that the sample size was, like the people who were interviewed, the people whose responses were collected, they were small, they were a small group. All right, so definitely the small group can, or maybe they were not culturally connected, they were not contextually connected. So these could be the loopholes, and this could be the glitches of the study and the research that you have to identify as a critique. Because when one has done a research and it is all set, all right, so you can see from other perspectives. I mean, the study definitely, only sometimes in the research article is so good, but you are looking at it from your perspective. With the passage of time, things change. So now, even and that time it was okay, the result findings and everything. But now when you see, so you see that the certain change has occurred, the things have changed, the attitudes of people have changed towards that particular thing, whether it is about a disease or whatever. All right. So that is why you see that on one particular subject, there are studies and researches. on over all the overall all time periods. The thing is that at every time you get to see and you want to verify that whether the previous results are still we get the same results as they were previous, or there is any change or any recommendation made for the future research. Okay, next. How to make an article critique. This is important, that how to make an article critique. So it is a new thing for you. If you are given an article to critique, all right, do you think it is a very easy process or it is a time-taking process? What do you think? Do you think it is an easy job, or you will just do it in a day, or it will take time? Do we have any responses? Chat box? Okay. All right. So you see that it's not one-time thing that you just read an article and you will be able to make a critique. It will take time. What is the process? Now we are going towards understanding that what is the process. If you choose an article for the article critique, what process you are going to follow. So the first thing is you have to read actively, active reading. So remember when I was teaching you critical and analytical reading, we talked about active reading. So what is active reading? Active reading is analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating the information. All right, this is active reading. So you have to do the same. Follow the same. We have that critical reading and analytical reading presentation will help you a lot. It takes too many researches to read. Okay, Kritalan, you're right. Good. So you choose any articles that you would like to critique. All right. So what will be the first step? The method 1 is reading actively. All right. So critique the article. You need to read it carefully for a better outcome. It is recommended to read the piece several times until you fully understand. See, nobody in the world has been an expert to give it one read and just thorough read and you see that, okay, I have understood everything. No, it takes time. You sit, read it once, twice, thrice, and then make notes that, what is this article all about. And as well as we discussed lots of things, that what questions you should have in your mind when you are going to analyze an article, what questions you should have in your mind. Okay, so all those previous questions that were presented in the previous slides, you are going to revisit them, and you're going to ask them when you have to review an article or critique an article. Okay, now these questions again, these are the questions going to help you. Why is the article's author considered an expert in their field? So you see that you should have to, and you just go and read about the author, right? What is his opinion? Does it, what makes a particular author opinion sound valid? Is the author knowledgeable about the topic? What do other field experts say about the author? So it means that researching about the the author, that should be your first step. Then this is the first method. Second step is, what is the author's purpose or thesis and hypothesis? Again, the thesis statement. All right, thesis statement and the purpose is the backbone. So what is the main message the author is trying to convey? Is the message clear? Or are there just plenty of general phrases without any specific details? So how the thesis statement and the purpose of the study written? Is it written very clearly, concisely, and it is giving you the whole idea that what is the study and the research all about? You have to see this in article. Okay, next, what is the article's target audience? Yes, is this article like, some medical researches are definitely for not for the general public. General public may not be able to understand this, all right? So the target audience is those medical folks, right? Similarly, you also have to see that the article which you have chosen to critique, is it what? Is it about, in this article, and the topic and the subject and the purpose of the study and the title, that is for the general audience, or does it appeal to the specific group of people? All right. And the language that is used, is it understandable? So you see that if it is about the medical field or something like that, general public might not understand. That will only be able, be understandable for the specific audience and the readers. Are the arguments presented valid? So, we see that it's very important that when we say the thesis or statement has to have a claim, a problem, and then that's why you are researching. So are the sources used by the author from all over the place? Does it seem like some sources are taken from places that share a cult-like vocabulary, means that maybe it is not apt for the not apt for the matter. All right, so you also have to see that what is the argument in the claim and how it is presented. Is it presented in a better way? Is it presented validly, with validity or not? What are the logical fallacies, holes in the author's viewpoint? All right, now you have to critically analyze. Again, critic does not mean thinking negatively. You have to critically analyze that are there any blind faults? Are there any blind spots? Is there any, are there any glitches, any flaws in the research that the researcher could have addressed? Okay, so you also have to see that the flows of the research, if there are any, agar aapko milte hain to. Is the conclusion clear or logical? Did the author arrive at a clear outcome? All right, definitely. What is the, what are the research findings? So you have to also comment on it when you are doing the article critique. Another, what is the method 2 is gathering evidence. All right, like, and in it, question whether the writer's overall message is logical, hypothesis, are there any relevant examples? All right, and even if an author has done research and quoted respected experts and analyzed the message for its particularity of the real world application, and examine the author's introduction and conclusion to make sure they match up as convincing and complementary elements. Right, and then search the article for any biases, whether intentional or unintentional. So you see that when a research article that you are going to critique, you also have to see that does it have any biasness. Maybe it has any contrary evidences, misappropriate evidence. All right, and as I told you that maybe it is a political or the cultural biases and prejudice, prejudice, if it does exist. So you also have to see that, bias can come from a place of prejudice, and maybe it can be related to race, ethnicity, gender, class, or politics. Maybe there was a topic that where only the males were asked for the responses, not the females. So it means this is not gender equality. All right. Similarly, if there is a topic where the ethnicity or the class or the political influence of the people is it's not equal. I mean, there are biases related to that. Consider the author's interpretations of other texts. All right, so again, if the author is bringing more references and another work, read the original work. As I told you in the literature review, read the original work as well. All right, and then you will be able to better analyze that, is it apt example in the reference in this context or not. Then, okay, notice if the author cites untrustworthy evidence. Okay, so as a critique, it is also your responsibility to see that the literature review and the references that have been used to support the claim and support the purpose or in the article, all right, you have to see that is it relevant or it is like 50 years ago that holds no value or no weightage. I mean, the research, the older it is, the less valuable it is, all right? It seems so. So you see that is it reliable or not? Don't completely ignore stylistic elements. What does it mean? Stylistic elements that how the overall content is presented. Okay. Sometimes what happens that the literary techniques that the author is using, they are Using the words that are not appropriate, vague, unclear, obscure word choices means that vague, unclear word choices that might not be, comprehensive for the general audience. Okay, so you also have to see from the language point of view that the style of writing is, and the dialect, the style of writing and the choice of the word is appropriate or not. All right, and always look up the definitions of unfamiliar words. A word's definition can completely change the meaning of a sentence. Okay, sometimes what happens that there is a word, that word may have double meanings. All right, so you have to see the definition of a word and contextually analyze that if this word is placed in this particular sentence, so contextually analyze that as well. Okay, and also why an author choose one particular word instead of another. Again, you may have choices. Okay. Question research method in scientific articles. All right. So, to do the article critique for the scientific articles, you have to see these questions, address these questions. Does the author detail the method thoroughly? Is the study designed without major flaws? Major flaws means that does it have any weaknesses, any loopholes that are there? Is there a problem with the sample size? Again, I mentioned that, the sample size means that the responses, the respondent, for the participants of your study. So is this big or is this small? Or when the study was conducted, sometimes you see that small sizes, they may not help. Sometimes it does, depends that what is your subject area for which you are studying. All right, okay. Was a control group created for comparison? Are all the statistical calculations correct? Usually, we in the results, we present the statistical data. All right. If you research for how many people do this, or like there's a particular thing, for example, that you're conducting a research about the use of something, and then in the end you are going to present your findings in the form of statistics and the numbers, that these many people use this and these many people have said that they had the impact of this thing like that. What would another party be able to duplicate the experiment question? Is the experiment significant for the particular field of study? So these are for the scientific researches. Dig deep. Use your existing knowledge, educated opinion, and dig deeper. And provide empirical arguments to support your stance. Empirical, as I would say, that it means that based on your observation and the real life experiences. Okay. Okay, this is important that a critique doesn't have to be entirely positive or a negative. All right, you have to, you are analyzing and you are going, presenting your critique on an article. So you have to follow all these steps that have been just presented in the couple of slides before. So and the critic don't vehemently disagree, like so overwhelmingly disagrees about the things. You can't do that. Okay, so you can provide contradictory evidence to an argument but still maintaining a particular point of view is correct. You can't use a language and you can't say something that is impolite or that is below the mark. You can present your argument in a very subtle and in a very polite manner. What is method? Yes. Method 3 is formatting your critique. Now, how to format this? Begin with an introduction that outlines your argument. Okay, now when you're presenting your critique, so see, you will not use the language that shows that you have done this research. No, you are presenting on a research article or a research article of someone else, and you are presenting the critique. All right, so begin your introduction that outlines the introduction should be no more than 2 paragraphs long, and it should lay out the basic framework of your critique. Okay, so when you are writing your critique or presenting your critique, be sure to include the name of the author, article title, all right, and the publication of the article appeared, when it was published, what is the thesis statement, what is the main purpose, all right. The introduction is not the place to provide evidence of your opinions. Okay, so introduction is just talking about the author and which, when was it published, and as well as the thesis statement. Okay, and then the next step will be provide evidence of your argument in the body paragraph. Okay, I will show you a simple article and that will help you understand that how you can do it. Okay, see, in the body paragraph, transitional sentences are also very important. When I was teaching you compare and contrast essay, we talked about it. So look at the second paragraph, that each body paragraph with a transitional sentence that hints at, as though does not explicitly state the content of the paragraph coming in. For example, you might write, while John Doe shows that the number of cases of the childhood obesity is rising at a remarkable rate in the US, there are instances of dropping obesity rates in some American cities. So you see that maybe this example is from an article that is about the obesity in the children in the US. All right. So it is like, the research says that the obesity in the children is increasing. So in the article critique, you are presenting your argument based on the evidence that there is the instances that drop, the obesity rates in children in America is also dropping and decreasing. Okay, so let's go ahead. Complicate your argument near the end of the critique. Okay, no matter how solid your argument is, there is always at least one dramatic way in which you can say that. Okay, so there are some suggestions. For example, you might, for instance, utilize a counter argument in which you anticipate a critique of your critique and reaffirm your position. Use phrases like, admittedly, it is true that, okay, one might object here. So these are the words that you can use. The answers, then answer, these possible counters and turn back to your strengthened argument with, but yet nevertheless, means that you have an article that you are going to critique and you are writing a critique and you're presenting a critique, all right? So it says one thing and then you would like to bring a counter argument. So what should be the language? It is true that, then quote what the writer has written and then bring up your counter argument, but yet nevertheless, still, however, and then write your, point of view in it, but based on the evidence. Present your arguments in a reasoned, objective tone. So avoid writing overzealous or obnoxiously passionate. Obnoxiousness means that offensively or very harsh tone, don't use it. Okay, it can turn off a reader. So while writing, look at this, there's an example. The piece of garbage is an insult to historians everywhere. That might garner attention if you write like, this article falls short of the standards of the scholarship in this area of historical study. So you see that the language and the selection of the word you use, it has a greater impact. You have to be very subtle and polite. Conclude your critique by summarizing your argument and suggesting potential implications. Okay, and then challenging. Let's answer this. Article critique is not only a criticism, true or false? Okay, in this slide, let's talk about it. Article critique is not only a criticism. Is it true or false? Is it a criticism when we talk about article critique? Write your responses in the chat box. Article critique is not only a criticism. Yes or no? True or false? Nobody would like to answer this? Just say true or false. You can make guesses. Tukas, yes?
True.
Is it true? Okay, fine. Author purpose is not important. Author's purpose is not important. Is it true or false? Author's purpose is important. In the article, in the research article, author's purpose is important. Why are you not answering? Say yes or no. I mean, be bold, be confident, and if you are wrong, it's fine,
Yes.
perfectly fine. All right. Is it true that author's purpose is not important, or is it important?
It's important.
It's important. All right. It means it is false. Okay. Negative responses are not allowed in making an article critique. Is it not at all allowed that negative responses? True or false?
Ma'am, it's false. Maybe
False.
it's
All
false.
right, it falls because definitely you can see both the sides of the coin. Okay, your critique must be supported with instincts and emotions only. What do you think? Like, you know, when you are doing when you are just you are critiquing, so you don't have to bring any concrete evidences. Your instinct and emotions, you know, will support it. Is it true or false? What does it look like? I mean, what does it look to you?
Maybe there should be evidence. The emotion is not just enough. Maybe evidence also needful for this.
Okay. All right. You must fully understand what the argument is about. You must fully understand
Yes.
what the argument is about.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yes, you should understand.
Maybe
All right.
right.
So, right. So let's see what is the. Okay. So, article critique is not only a criticism. This is true. It is beyond that. Author's purpose is not important. It is false. It is important. Negative responses are not allowed in making an article critique. This is false. All right. Your critique must be supported with instincts only, which is false. I mean, you know, your instincts means what? You know, what you think is your gut feelings and what you think is right. And emotions only. No, not at all. You know, when you are critiquing a research article, you have to present the evidences. You have to give the evidences, and you must fully understand what the argument is about. Yes, you must fully understand. True. Okay. So, what is the next? Fine. So here we are going to end this, and now I'm going to show you a research article, the original article, and as well as the article critique. All right. I have selected a very easy one for you so that you can just a minute, please. You can understand. Just check my email. Just a minute. Give me a minute, please. Okay. You have to wait for just a minute because I need to open another email. All right, so Okay, now I'm sharing my screen with you. Okay, is my screen visible, everybody? I need to hear from you. Is my
Yes,
screen
ma'am.
visible? All right, so look at this. What is the title of this article? Who would like to read it? What is the title of this article?
May I, ma'am?
Yes,
Can
please.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Student anxiety effects of a new graduate student orientation program.
All right. Okay. So look at this. All right. This is the title, and the study is, was conducted. I think this was published in 2014. All right. And this is about how many pages does it have? It is 9-page article. All right. We are not going to read it. I'm just going to show you that this is the title, and it was done at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, by the Megan Hullinger, all right, and Lance Hogan. So you see, I'm just going to read this one or few lines that a significant issue for US institution of higher education is reducing the anxiety of students in order to help increase retention rates and improve academic performance. Okay, so see, this is basically not a scientific research article, but yes, it is, you can say that anxiety is more of, related to social sciences. Maybe this topic is of psychology. So graduate study in the United States is increasing every year. According to the Digest of Educational Statistics 2013, graduate enrollment in the 1970s and 1980s held steady at approximately 1.3 million students. However, enrollment rose approximately 57% between 1985. You see, this is, this is the these are the references which are given to you, all right. And then you see the statement of problem. A significant issue for the US graduate school is reducing the anxiety of the graduate students to increase. Okay, this is the problem. What is the purpose of this study? Everything that we discussed today in the presentation, in the session today, you will see this in this article. The purpose of this study was to investigate anxiety among incoming graduate students enrolled at Midwest Regional State University in order to determine if an intervention reduces anxiety. And this intervention provides detailed information on academic and social resources to assist a student in acclimating to their course of study. The study surveyed incoming graduate students before and after a technology-based orientation program to determine if it reduces anxiety. What were the research questions? These are the 3 research questions. Literature review. So you see that the references are given in the literature review, okay, that journals and books, names of the authors and the year, whatever they have mentioned. The purpose of the new student orientation program. All right, then the population, what were the results? This is the data. Okay, now let's go to see. This is the article critique. Okay, this is the article critique on the same subject. So introduce your reader to the title of the article. Remember, I told you that when you are doing a article critique, you should first introduce. We talked about the methods, method 1, method 2, and method 3. All right, so graduate students enrollment has increased in the recent years, but these students face many challenges. Now all this yellow highlighted part is like include a thesis statement. So you have to see that what is the key thesis statement. You have to see that, okay. While this article produced significant results showing that an orientation program could reduce anxiety of new graduate students, there are limitations related to the replicability, sample, and generalizability of results. This is your thesis statement. First, provide a brief summary of the article in your own words. You see, so that 9-page article has been reduced to 3 pages. All right, and now you are presenting in the first paragraph the summary. Begin the critique next, and this can multiple paragraphs, but follow any specific guidelines for your, like, depends how you were asked to do it. Then use specific examples to strengthen your critique. Okay, now see, first the sample size was small. Out of 802 incoming students who were invited to participate, only 30 students completed the pre and post anxiety inventory. You see, so in the article, this is your analysis. You as a critique analyzed that this might be the weakness, that out of 802 incoming students, only 32 were able to participate in pre and post, could go to the end. The sample size was small, so it is difficult to generalize these findings. Okay, so you see that now you are talking about the strengths and the weaknesses of that article. So this is article critique. See that how that what original article looks like, and what is this article critique look like. They do look very different. So this is your critical analysis. Summarize the key points of the article and your analysis. Okay, so you see that you are also bringing the your study, that how you evaluated it with the help of evidences, that this study did not adequately describe the orientation program, so that the future, that hasn't impressed you. And the closing sentence provide direction for the future research. Yes, it is also very important, the closing sentence, that the small sample size and lack of diversity among participants limit the generalizability of these findings. Future research on online orientation program with a clear description of the program among the larger, more diverse sample is necessary to provide evidence for impact of online orientation program. You see, so what is the that one idea, that one tip that you also would like to, or the suggestion that you would like to give for the future? And then the references, your references. What were the references that you have used? Okay, so this is the article critique example, which is very simple and very easy, that I thought to show it to you so that you can have an idea of the entire session that was conducted today. All right, and that's it. So tell me if you have any queries. Any queries?
No, ma'am.
All right. Acha, by the way, I would want you should go back to it once you get the video and listen to it again. As I told you that this is a part of your curriculum, so I thought to teach you this. It might have that some of the questions from this topic. All right. All right. Okay. So here we end the session. And thank you so much for joining. And I would request you to keep following all the reading, all the recorded lectures for your final exams, and everything that I have sent you, PPTs and the list of MCQs, and as well as these recorded lectures.